I have been asked to give you an update on the security situation in the country and to also dwell in part on the successes achieved by the government of President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, we all know that in May of 2015, when President Buhari came in as president, he came in with a promise of trying to achieve three things during his stewardship. And these are improving the economy, tackling insecurity, and fighting corruption. You will agree with me that all these three issues are interrelated and have an impact on national security. And if one is scuttled, the rest cannot be implemented. For example, if we do not improve the economy, then there's a chance, a very great chance, that criminal elements will begin to emerge and the security situation will be in dire straits. And that is why, looking at the focus of Mr. President, his focus is benchmarked on these three key issues. And these key issues are central to whatever we will achieve, especially in terms of securing the people, which is the primary responsibility of government. It is easy for me to stand before you and reel out the achievements of the government in terms of securing the country. That is not a problem. Where the problem lies is that, unlike economic issues and issues of corruption, where you can see results that are tangible, that people can relate to, with security is quite different. For instance, in terms of the economy, you could come out and say we've laid out 10,000 kilometers of road network. The people can see and feel it and understand it. We've saved 43 billion naira in the period of 1 year. The people can understand that. But in terms of security, because there's some underlying emotional or psychological aspect intrinsically linked to what the people expect, it is difficult to say this is what we have done, because at the end of the day, the end user, that is the citizen, what he can relate to is a complete atmosphere bereft of insecurity, agitation, panic, and so on and so forth. While acknowledging that we have achieved a lot by way of taking out criminal elements, insurgents, bunkerers, and so on and so forth, the central issue, I think, would be for me to dwell more on what the president wants to achieve in the present context, having rejigged the security architecture. Of course, from 2015 till date, a lot of successes have been recorded. If you look at the maritime environment, we've been able to capture millions and millions and millions of liters of petroleum products. We've been able to take out a lot of sea robbers and pirates on the high seas. In terms of the insurgency in the northeast, we have been able to take out a lot of the insurgents. I know from the top of my head, from March of last year to December of last year, the military was able to take out 2,403 insurgents, but not everybody knows that. The military was able to free 864 kidnapped victims. Nobody really knows or feels that, because you can only relate to what is happening in your own situation. So if I am living in Konduga or Mafa or Kalabalge or Bama or Yusufari, I can only relate to what is happening within my immediate context. The other issue is that despite all the achievements, and I can assure you a lot of achievements have been recorded, but these achievements are mostly operational in nature, and only the operational elements have a catalog of what they've achieved, either mentally or in writing, documented. But they have been able to. I'll tell you one thing. When this government came in the first time, we were inundated with a lot of incidents of IED cases, issues of improvised explosive devices going off left, right, and center. But the government, within a period of 1 year, was able to contain this situation, especially working comprehensively to deal with the root causes of the problem, like the issue of illegal importation of fertilizers, which the Office of the National Security Advisor had to deal with, and so many other cases like that. Again, when the government came to power, there were other issues that we inherited. I know several local governments were in the hands of these terrible human beings, but we were able to get back these local governments. Now, the issue here is that all our successes, like I said, can only be satisfactorily documented, realized, and narrated to the people if there's a complete absence of fear, panic, agitation, apprehension, and so on and so forth. And this is a continuous thing. Given the fact that we are faced with a new type of war, asymmetrical, unusual, unorthodox conflict. And I'm not saying that this is a new type of war or phenomenon. It is new to us here in this part of the country. It's been going on over the centuries in different forms. But for us, it is a new thing. And apart from that, the successes that we are hoping to achieve are further complicated by virtue of the fact that while our enemy, it only takes just one act for him to succeed, just one incident. For us, we have to succeed all the time. All the time. We must be able to prevent incidents. We must be able to be on top of the situation. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not making excuses for failure or for anything here. All I'm telling you is that the complexities of fighting asymmetric warfare are such that the approach to dealing with these issues must be comprehensive. The entire government has to work with the whole population, the society, to achieve the desired result for the country. And when we say the whole government, there's been this misconception. When you say whole of government, we're not saying whole of executive. I know a lot of people, yes, the tangible elements, the tangible aspects of security lie squarely on the executive, which has control of the armed forces, constabulary institutions, paramilitary institutions, in short, all the elements you need, the government needs to enforce its will, to assert its power. That is an executive function, quite all right. But that executive function also cannot be realized in isolation. You need legislative partnership. The legislature has to make those laws that are commensurate or compatible to what is happening in our society that is making it so unsafe. Likewise, the judiciary also has to come up with codes, with punishments that are also appropriate and commensurate. You cannot punish an individual in the 21st century, in 2021, with the same type of the punishment that was used in 1958 or 1959. So, when we say the entire government, the whole of government, these three arms must operate like a tripod. Secondly, these three elements also have to work with the larger society, the wider society, traditional institutions, religious institutions, and so on and so forth, to achieve the end state. Now, having said that, I also want to point out that the recent changes made by Mr. President in the entire security architecture gives us a ray of hope that things will be adjusted so that whatever we do in terms of securing the land will be in conformity with the aspirations of the people. Mr. President, having realized that there were gaps in the past, decided to rejig the entire security apparatus. And like you're aware, he gave marching orders a few days ago after promoting the Chief of Defense Staff and the new service chiefs. On our own part, we have been meeting very, very frequently with this new set of service chiefs, who I can assure you are very, very much conscious, very aware of the enormity of the responsibility that lies on their heads. And we have had several meetings, both individually and collectively. That is, the intelligence community has met, the operational elements have met, and we've met together to look into what needs to be done. Of course, we've made our initial presentations to Mr. President, and Mr. President has already approved that he's going to implement those issues that need to be implemented. For one, there's the issue of deficiency in equipment, and there's also a lack of personnel, the required numbers, the force levels. And of course, while on the one hand, the issue of personnel is a grave concern for us, you must understand that it is a mid to long-term problem which has to be dealt with in that manner. It will take time to vet, recruit, train, and then send people into the theater. But on the other hand, we can't fold our arms and sit back while we're waiting to build force levels. So what do? We need to equip our forces, both the operational and the intelligence elements. What they need definitely are force multipliers, MRAPs, APCs, light, medium, heavy machine guns, IED, counter-IED equipment, air assets, and so on and so forth. The President has already endorsed, and he has seen the need to quickly fill this void so that these people with who he has charged with the responsibility of taking out the enemy, degrading him, will have the opportunity to do that. Because for one thing, the new service chiefs have realized that they are under-equipped, and they've made overtures and treaties to Mr. President to find a way of helping them with this equipment. That will be done. Secondly, on the part of the operatives, both intelligence and defense, we have decided now to consolidate our efforts in such a way that there's unison in whatever we do. We must, because issues that dragged us behind in the past, we have all realized we must find a way to overcome these issues. And I'll tell you that it's not just peculiar to Nigeria. All countries facing this type of situation have had to deal with the issue of institutional rivalry, whereby organizations tend to work in silos or they tend to stovepipe. For us, I can tell you it's fallout of our protracted stay in our military involvement in governance, and that's the price we have to pay for. We still have the residues, the vestiges of that military mentality, which I am trying desperately to overcome, because if we do not work together in harmony, then there will be a significant problem. But I can see the arrival of the new service chiefs. We are singing from the same hymn sheet. We all understand the need for the convergence of ideas and effort so that we can take out the enemy. For one thing, we're dealing with a group of people that are terrible, and whatever we do, we will also have to work with the larger society. And that is why when we keep saying whole of government and whole of society, what we mean is that without the larger society, it is going to be difficult. Once again, please don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to make excuses, but I'm just trying to tell you that if you want to achieve results, there are many ways of achieving results. You could go to the farm with a hoe. It might take you 8-9 months to get what you want. But when you go with a tractor, it will be far quicker. And that tractor I'm talking about is the larger human space with which we have to work with. You need to know that in asymmetric warfare, the situation is different. To overcome the challenges of asymmetric conflict, you need intelligence. Overwhelming intelligence is what we need to deal, and that intelligence can come from various sources. You have imagery intelligence. You have measurements and signature intelligence. You have technical intelligence, signal intelligence, open source intelligence. But the most important intelligence is known as human intelligence. That is the basic intelligence that we require. And what I have told the service chiefs and the intelligence head is that we must find a way, also with the constabulary elements from the police, we must find a way to cultivate the larger society. And the president has always told me that it is very, very important, because without the local community, and you can see that we've been thinking of community policing, the idea is that the local community gives you the basic intelligence you need to deal with these outlaws, because they are the ones who are in contact, who have proximity to these people. For one thing, we need to know that each time an incident occurs, what we need is to deal with it quickly. And we need to know that intelligence in itself has a very short shelf life. Therefore, whatever intelligence the people give us, the operatives need to act on quickly. And that is why I have emphasized and I've approached the president that whatever it takes in terms of giving the resources to the operational elements, we need to do it. Otherwise, whatever intelligence we get becomes wasted. If right now I'm told there's an incident in Ikeja and my response time is slow before I get to Ikeja, the fellow in Ikeja may well be in Fiditi in Oyo State. By the time I get to Fiditi, he's maybe in Kauranamoda, and so on and so forth. So it is important for me to explain to you that government is making efforts to acquire all the necessary equipment to deal with these issues. Again, in asymmetric conflict, there's the issue of external influences coming all the way from North Africa into the Sahel and into Nigeria. Definitely Nigeria has the biggest economy. So it is only natural for human beings, small arms and light weapons, drugs and all kinds of things to come into Nigeria. Now again, the government, in tackling the problem of insecurity, we've said this thing so many times that there are two phases to solving this problem. The soft approach, talking, negotiating, and so on and so forth. While the government is not averse to talking with these entities, these human beings, I have to be very honest with you. The government has to apply its weight, that force that is required, because you can't even talk with people who are unreliable, people who will turn out to do a different thing, and people who will continue to hurt society. So basically, what the government wants to rely upon is to deal with this issue by using all the assets, military assets, intelligence assets at its disposal to eliminate these people. If along the line, some of them are ready to come out and talk and negotiate, when the time comes, we'll do that. But for now, we can't keep on dwelling on let's dialogue. Psychologically, it's not even good for us. It paints the picture of weakness. It paints the picture of incapacity. And I, just like the governor of Kaduna State, do not see any reason why we cannot, with what we have, deal with these elements. These are not people who are looking for anything that is genuine, kosher, legitimate. These are people who are just out to perform atrocities, to take measures, calculated measures to inflict pain, violence on people. At the slightest opportunity, they go haywire. And so it is important for us to realize that we are dealing with people who are not looking for anything, people who, without provocation, will give vent to their homicidal instincts, and we must deal with them the way they have to be dealt with. And let me tell you also that societies that are developed, that are advanced, have faced these challenges throughout history. The most advanced countries have had issues with these type of people, and at the end of the day, they had to assert the government's will to deal with these people. So it is important for me to state to you that the new direction of the government is to come out with its full force. The government is not going to allow itself to be blackmailed by any group, by any individual who thinks he can hide under the surface and then use proxies to deal a fatal blow on innocent people. That, I want to assure you, categorically and unequivocally, the government is going to apply its full weight to deal with these criminals until such a time that they vacate the shores of this country. Now, in dealing with this issue, also the president realizes the need for tangential auxiliary organizations to key in. For example, the issue of drugs coming in, small arms and light weapons, and so on and so forth. In terms of policy, the government has done quite a lot. It has come up with the policy framework. It has come up with also the national security strategy, with the national policy on cybersecurity. All these issues have been addressed in these documents. But while working along with these documents and also reaching out to the legislature and the judiciary, we as the executive will continue to use practical means. Nobody is going to be cajoled. Nobody is going to be babied into agreeing with the government. That is not the business of government. The business of government is to ensure that the people are at peace, they are secure, and they're able to go about their legitimate undertakings, day-to-day legitimate undertakings. I want to be very, very clear. This is President Muhammadu Buhari's thinking. This is his trajectory. And this is what we are going to do. You can expect a lot of blackmail in the weeks to come. A lot of things have happened in the last few days, like what's happening in Zamfara State, the ban on mining. And it's not just illegal mining, it's mining, complete mining, whether legal or illegal, till we set up a proper regulatory framework, because the Nigerian economy is suffering. A lot of these minerals find their way outside, end up in the Middle East, where you have Nigerian gold markets, and not a single dime, not a single kobo is left here for the government. And we've already started trailing these people. All the institutions of government are working on that. So I think this is what I have for now. If you have questions, I'll be only too happy to take your questions. Thank you very much.